G'day everyone, I'm the Red Scar and this is Red Scar Gaming. Today I'm doing my summary of my fifth, wow, Wilds of Eldraine draft, which I used an Abzan Colours and I called it a late game deck, but it's still not a good name for it. But yeah, in like all of my summaries, I'll go through each card and give my best opinion as I can about how it performed this time. The deck as a whole, I think was a little bit, as the name implied, relying on the late game perhaps a bit too much. Though yeah, I'll discuss in a bit more detail as I go through what I should have done, could have done, sort of thing. But yeah, each card. Fairy Dream Thief. I think I only got to play once. It's never going to win a game, but I think it performed well enough. Like I do like the Savar 1 bit, which yeah, I certainly used that aspect once, and I did get to exile and draw a card, lose a life, so it contributes regardless of what game you're playing it in. So I'm happy with it. This is probably the only draft that I was unhappy ultimately with Toadstool Admirer. Once again, I very much know it's not going to win you the game, but at least previously I have been pretty happy with the whole Ward 2 spend some extra mana to make it a bit bigger. Maybe in this particular case at least, because I'm playing a bit late game anyway, I don't often have the 4 mana left to spend, and probably so therefore in this case I shouldn't be having something that I need to spend 4 mana on, and especially 2 copies of it. Ginger Brute, I didn't get to use much of. I think I only played him twice, attacked with him 3 times or something like that. He's still a good card and can go probably in any deck. And I'm speaking of too broadly there, but yeah, it's pretty good in any circumstance really. Quite happy with him. I didn't get to sack him to gain 3 life, which yeah I know doesn't win you games, but it might help occasionally. The Minstrosity, in this particular game, this particular draft, I mean, I'm pretty happy with how he went. I know I didn't play him as much as I probably wanted to, but essentially sacking him to destroy a 3 toughness creature plus getting a food token, I think at least can be very useful. He probably could have been more useful in other circumstances, but yeah, I'm not unhappy with how he went. Prophetic Prism I got a few times. Mainly it was the draw card side of aspect of that I am happy with. And yeah, I know pay 2 mana, draw a card, pass turn is not really a great way to play a turn, but me being later in the game anyway, Prophetic Prism gets me to the cards I sort of need, so I'm happy, but I'm glad I didn't get 2 or 3 of them. Protective Parents didn't get as much use as I probably wanted in hindsight. Maybe I should have only kept 1 instead of the 2, because as a 3/2, there was quite a few situations where it would have died pretty easily in either the attack or the block or whatever. So it probably wasn't in that particular circumstance wasn't used very well. Though I do remember when I drafted it, it was in no small part because I needed something at 3 mana curve. So it's yeah, I suppose maybe in that aspect, it's what else would I've gone with. Stroke of Midnight, I didn't get as much use out of it as I'd hoped actually. Maybe it's simply that I didn't draw it enough, but yeah, Stroke of Midnight, I'm still happy with. I know why people aren't like fervent. Yes, you get it every time, sort of thing. But yeah, like because your opponent gets a chump blocker at the absolute worst. But yeah, I'm still pretty happy with Stroke of Midnight. The Sweet Tooth Witch, I think it was only the first game actually that I got to play whatever it's called. I didn't get great use out of it in this particular case. I'm wondering, sort of just looking at how all this has gone so far in my analysis, I'm wondering if maybe I relied on it a bit too much, or food tokens maybe a bit too much. clutching at straws a little bit there. Hollow Scavenger, I have had a lot better use with him before. I think I only drew him once actually, so seem to draw the same 3 cards over and over again by hindsight. I did create a food token with the one time I did play it. Though, yeah, I remember that the one time I did play it as the creature, I actually lost that game and I shouldn't have played it in that particular circumstance. But, yeah, look, that's my fault, not really Hollow Scavengers per se. Huntsman's Redemption, I am actually pretty happy that I got that. I only got to play it once, and was it game 3, I think? My opponent happened to use the 3/3 beast, turn it into not much of a threat. So in that particular case, it wasn't the best card that could have ever happened. But I'm still happy with that because it's like at the very worst, you're getting a 3/3 for 3 mana, and yeah, look, your opponent can kill it, all that sort of thing, but they have to pay a mana. And in that particular case, I think it did pretty well for 3 mana. We've got Besotted Knight. I think I drew that a little bit too often, actually. The Betroth the Beast is good. I think it would have worked better. Betroth the Beast, I mean. In more circumstances of me having my bigger creatures. And maybe I didn't get my bigger creatures enough, but maybe I shouldn't be relying on it so much either. Besotted Knight is still a good card. And I know the whole Hill Giant aspect of this, the whole 4 mana for a 3/3, is not great, but considering you got it all on one card, it's not the worst card either. Taken by Nightmares, I only got to use that once, I think, actually, and it was certainly the card I needed at the time. Still happy with it. I sort of wish it didn't cost 4 mana, but yeah, look, I can see why it does. It certainly would be maybe probably a bit too broken if it was 3 mana, say. But yeah, anyway, look, I'm happy with the use of that. I didn't get to use Ferocious Werefox at all. That's I've drafted it fairly often, actually. I think that's probably the first time that I didn't get to use it. So in this particular circumstance, I maybe shouldn't have gone with it, because the guard change aspect of this, the adventure, I mean, yeah, you know what I mean, costs less than the things that I would probably generally want to apply to it anyway. Like, I mean, the bigger creatures. So, yeah, maybe I would have relied on it too much, but yeah, even attaching the monster role on, yeah, protective parents. Okay, it's not ideal, but it's not bad. So yeah, though it does cost 2 mana. So yeah, maybe in this case I probably shouldn't have drafted it, but I didn't get to play it, so yeah, I'm not as disappointed as I might otherwise be. Screen Puff I drew way too often, actually, I think. I did get pretty good use out of it. I didn't get quite as many food tokens as I probably wanted, but yeah, it did well. It didn't. I don't think it really won me any games by itself, but yeah, I didn't get to use it as well as I probably wanted to. Excuse me, as a quick swig of water. Oh, it's dry weather today. The Beanstalk Worm. That's actually one that I'm rather interested in because I drafted 3 Beanstalk Worms. I put a bit more land in there, simply because I could then plant beans and get its use, thus getting me to later game a bit quicker, was the sort of general idea of that. I do still really like that card because, like, even if you don't get much of a chance to plant beans, you're still playing a 5/4 reach for 5, which, yeah, okay, there could be better cards, but it's not too bad. My question is, should I have drafted 3? Probably not. But it did do very well when I did play it. So yeah, it's definitely the card I wanted. I don't think I got the best use out of it in this particular draft. Uh, it might just be a case of my opponents just did better. Was it game 4 that I versed a lot of flyers? So it did definitely did its weight then. But even then, I maybe didn't need 3. Maybe. Well, yeah, I'll think about that a bit later. Hamlet Glutton didn't get as much use as I probably hoped. Still happy with it though. The whole gain 3 life definitely helps, and the trample makes this my aggressive creature, regardless of how you phrase that. Air is really dry here today. So yeah, I'm happy with that, and I can't really think of anything else that I got an opportunity to get that would have made the better big dumb creature anyway. And playing it for 5 mana is really good, especially if I think it was game 2, was it, that I got to play an additional land and play Hamlet Glutton turn 4, basically. So, like that's a pretty scary thing on turn 4. As far as the land distribution, pretty happy with all that, because yeah, I didn't need a plains straight like first thing anyway. Yeah, swamps, forests. I definitely needed more forest side. I did get a few opportunities that I used the add 1 mana of any color aspect of Crystal Grotto, which is basically why part of why I had it anyway, because I'm running the 3 colors, and the Scry 1 ability helped quite a lot. I'm very happy with Crystal Grotto in general. I know it doesn't win you games, but it sure does help. Evolving Wilds, yeah, I'm happy with that one too. And I'll take another swig of water as I click here. Seriously, weather. Griffin Airy. Yeah, I ultimately drafted that because I was sort of hoping to use that to go wider. With the power of hindsight, I don't think I would have got that trigger as often as I'd hoped. So I probably am happy that I didn't keep it in. Plunge into Winter is probably one where I should have, because it is a bit on the control side, I should have gone that maybe instead of Toadstool Admirer. Simply because it's like draw a card and stop at a major threat from doing damage, which, if you're using Toadstool Admirer as a chump blocker, you are preventing a threat doing damage for 1 turn, which, yeah, it is a roundabout way of doing the same thing. Granted, it's different mana and all that, but yeah, maybe I should have gone that instead of Toadstool Admirer. Return Triumphant, as I said when I was drafting it, I don't think I was going to get much use out of it anyway, just because I didn't have much by way of creatures mana 3 or less. I suppose maybe once again get rid of Toadstool Admirer so I could get the likes of Hollow Scavenger, Protective Parents maybe, because it does get those, even Fairy Dream Thief, but yeah, it's not. Yeah, there wasn't much back there. Let's just have a quick look. Yeah, there's not much back there that I could have got, especially if I dropped Toadstool Admirer. See, I'm probably happy I didn't take that. Savior of the Sleeping is maybe one that I should have kept. Let's say, in fact, instead of Ferocious Werefox, as I said before, I've never been unhappy with Werefox, though Savior of the Sleeping, with the whole Vigilance thing, would have helped me play a bit more on the defensive, which I maybe should have been doing a bit more of, but still getting that little attack in that I might have got 1 turn or 2 turns or whatever. There's not many enchantments in this deck, is there? So yeah, I wouldn't have got the +1 counter on it very often. So yeah, I suppose maybe Ferocious Werefox would have. Maybe it would have just been a case of I never drew Savior of the Sleeping. But anyway, you can talk about that for as long as you want. Aquatic Alchemist. Seriously, I need that water. Aquatic Alchemist. Yeah, I definitely don't think would have done particularly well. There was a few times that I got to use Stroke of Midnight, but yeah, that's about it that I would have really used him. See, and plus the whole splashing blue thing. Freeze in place might have done better. I'm just thinking though, it would have been a case of, let's say, chuck freeze in place in with plunge into winter, get rid of, say, Toadstool Admirers. I suppose with the Crystal Grottos and Prophetic Prism, I may have been able to just splash in that one blue card, but I'm not a fan of not having any, in this case, islands, and just relying on Prophetic Prism or something of that nature. Not Dead After All. Or maybe I should have relied on that one a bit more, because there was several situations, game 4 I'm thinking of probably in particular, where my big creature, whatever it was, died, and I had no way of getting it back. So maybe Not Dead After All would have done well instead of Sweet Tooth Witch, maybe? Hollow Scavenger, maybe? Yeah, maybe. That's the only one word of that I probably don't like. Instead of maybe one of the Beanstalk Worms. Yeah, maybe. That's the word. Sugar Rush. Yeah, I think as I said while I was drafting it, I'm mainly looking for the big creatures in this deck. So I wouldn't have got much opportunity as far as +3. If it was like +1 in Death Touch, yeah, maybe, but it's not how it works. Rowan's Grim Search, I've never been a fan of, though. Yeah, maybe the drawing is basically what I needed it for. To reliably get to the lands I needed and the big creatures. Maybe clutching at straws there. Eriot's Whisperer. Oh, geez, it is really dry here, so excuse me as I sip water. Eriot's Whisper. Yeah, I don't think there would have been many situations where that did any better. And as I said when I drafted it, a spell like that for 4 mana is a pretty tough decision, because there's been I forget what they're called off the top of my head, but the various cards that are 3 mana, your opponent discards 2 cards, and there are various things that can equip a Wicked Roll token. But for 4 mana, doing both, maybe, yeah, we're not quite sure. Witch's Mark, yeah, definitely wouldn't have splashed red just for that. Bestial Bloodline, yeah, that's one of the ones maybe Toadstool Admirer should have been taken out for that. Though Toadstool Admirer, with that equipped, is not the worst thing. So, maybe even Hollow Scavenger, maybe. Clutching at straws there a little bit, but yeah. Ground Seal, yeah, definitely not something I should have. I suppose the draw card helps, but yeah, it doesn't really help in a draft, I think. Verdant Outrider, yeah, it's a 4/2. If it was a 3/3, I might have picked it, but yeah, a 4/2 is not my favourite anyway. Skybeast Tracker, yeah, maybe that instead of one of the Beanstalk Worms. Because as I drafted it, I did say something about the fact that I should have some sort of reach, because I know there's fairies around, and it's pretty good against fairies. The whole creating food tokens bits helped. Maybe even take out one of the Screen Puffs. Maybe. Yeah, or Ferocious Werefox probably, but yeah, once again, I might not have drawn it. And 3 Bowls of Porridge. Yeah, it's not a bad card, but I can't really think of anything I should have taken out otherwise. Because because it's basically a control card. So, or maybe that extra land, maybe taken by nightmares. But yeah, it's not really a, yeah, I should have had it instead of this, definitely. But anyway, okay, so yeah, overall happy with how the deck went. Even the games I lost, I was pretty happy with how it went. Yeah, I would have preferred the win, but that's all right. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.